Antarctica is one of the Earth's final frontiers. Though it is quickly shrinking, it still holds numerous mysteries and unexplained abnormalities. In recent years, it has been the epicenter of continuous scientific research, with surprising results. Today, we're looking at the strangest discoveries in Antarctica. It took decades of struggling with the weather on a small, desolate island off the Antarctic peninsula. But now, scientists have finally unearthed the heaviest known elasmosaur, an ancient aquatic reptile that swam the seas of the Cretaceous period alongside the dinosaurs. The animal would have weighed as much as 15 tons, and it is now one of the most complete ancient reptile fossils ever discovered in Antarctica. A scientist from Purdue University originally discovered the find in 1989 during an expedition to Seymour Island, just off the northern tip of the Antarctic peninsula, according to National Geographic. Unable to excavate the skeleton himself, he told other researchers where it was. The prehistoric plesiosaur, a four-flipped marine reptile that lived during the dinosaur age, measured a colossal 36 feet long from snout to tail, about as long as a modern telephone pole. This newfound sea monster is now the largest known elasmosaurid on record. Many people have noticed that it bears an odd resemblance to the Loch Ness Monster. For such a gigantic creature to satisfy its appetite, many marine creatures must have lived in the area. So the fact that the animal continued to exist in such a late part of the Cretaceous adds to the evidence that for the aquatic world, at least, it was going well until the sudden mass extinction. In the early 1970s, when satellites first began snapping photos of Earth, scientists noticed a mysterious hole in one of Antarctica's seasonal ice packs floating on the Lazarev Sea. Come summertime, the gap had disappeared. And for decades, the strange event went unexplained. Then, a year and a half ago, during the continent's coldest winter months, when the ice should be at its thickest, a giant 9,500 square kilometer hole suddenly showed up in the same ice pack. 2 months later, it had grown a stunning 740% larger, before once again retreating with the summer ice. With the help of floating robots and tech-equipped seals, may now have the answer. The so-called polynaias, Russian for open water, seem to be the result of storms and salt, new research finds. The analysis shows that when the surface ocean is especially salty, as seen throughout 2016, strong winter storms can set off an overturning circulation. Warmer, saltier water from the depths gets churned up to the surface, where air chills it and makes it denser than the water below. As that water sinks, relatively warmer deep water of about 1 degree Celsius replaces it, creating a feedback loop where ice can't reform. Over 100 years ago, Robert Falcon Scott's expedition to Antarctica discovered fossils of plants on the Beardmore Glacier, less than 500 kilometers from the South Pole. Edward Wilson, who was the expedition's chief scientist, recorded the findings in his diary, stating that most of the bigger leaves were like beech leaves in shape and venation. At the time, these findings were dismissed by scientists as misidentifications, their significance overlooked for more than 100 years. But when you set foot in the Antarctic Peninsula or Ross Ice Shelf region today, many scientific advances have proven that you are in fact walking in ancient, once thriving forests. Now, newfound, intricate fossils of some of these trees are revealing how the plants thrived, and what forests might look like as they march northward in today's warming world. The polar forests grew at a latitude where plants can't grow today, and researchers believe they must have been an extremely hardy species in order to survive. The team is now trying to understand why they went extinct. "There isn't anything like that today," he said. "These trees could turn their growing cycles on and off like a light switch. We know the winter shutoff happened right away, but we don't know how active they were during the summertime and if they could force themselves into dormancy while it was still light out." In 2015, after drilling through Antarctica's Ross Ice Shelf, scientists have discovered microbes, crustaceans, and even several kinds of strange fish living in water buried under nearly half a mile of ice. As recently as a decade ago, it was thought that nothing could survive beneath Antarctica's massive ice sheets. The water under the ice sheet is around 33 feet deep, and temperatures hover below freezing. However, the team now realizes that Antarctica is home to several species of fish and invertebrates that resemble crayfish. This includes a type of snailfish, a tadpole-looking creature that confounds scientists due to its home in the icy depths of the Arctic and Antarctic oceans. Despite their gelatinous bodies, which look transparent, rubbery, and thin, Snailfish can live in depths of up to at least 700 meters. It's fascinating to see so much marine vertebrate and invertebrate life so far away from the open ocean and right where the West Antarctic ice sheet goes afloat. Sławek Tulisic, a chief scientist on the WISARD project and professor at the University of California, Santa Cruz, said in a press release, "I've spent my scientific career studying how this ice sheet may contribute to the future global sea level rise. However, I now realize that the retreat of the ice sheet may also impact a unique ecosystem." In 1985, a unique skull was discovered lying on a Yamana beach at Cape Shirreff in Antarctica's South Shetland Islands. It belonged to an indigenous woman from southern Chile in her early 20s, thought to have died between 1819 and 1825. It was the oldest known human remains ever found in Antarctica. The location of the discovered skull was unexpected. It was found at a beach camp made by sealers in the early 19th century near remnants of her femur bone. Yet female sealers were unheard of at the time. There are no surviving documents explaining how or why a young woman came to be in Antarctica during this era. Now, at nearly 2,000 years old, the skull is thought to align with the beginning of the first known landings on Antarctica. Many people claim that these elongated skulls are proof of extraterrestrial presence on Earth during prehistory. But it turns out that in the 1800s, numerous countries were trying to colonize Antarctica, though it was so inhospitable that none were able to do so successfully. ALH 84001 is a meteorite, a rock that fell to Earth from space. It was found in December 1984 in Antarctica by a US meteorite hunting expedition. When it was found, ALH 84001 weighed about 1.93 kilograms. It was shaped like a large potato, about 6 inches long by 4 inches by 3 inches, and was partly covered with black glass. The glass, called fusion crust, forms on all meteorites when they burn through the Earth's atmosphere. The meteorite looked green inside, which really excited the expedition. The majority of the world's meteorites are discovered in Antarctica. A single dark rock would be easy enough to spot amid the white background, but the movements of the ice can also act as a conveyor belt, creating concentrated pockets of space debris. Meteorite hunting expeditions over the past few decades have revealed, though, an enigmatic lack of iron meteorites in Antarctica compared with other locations around the world. This particular meteorite contains a speck of stardust that predates the creation of the solar system. This ancient grain is only 1/25,000th of an inch, sports a croissant-like shape, and could tell us a thing or two about the origins of our solar system, according to researchers. There is a small waterfall near McMurdo Station in Antarctica that has a very distinctive and ominous appearance. Called Blood Falls, this haunting waterfall appears to consist of human blood due to its bright red color. For years, researchers stayed away from these falls, believing that they were bad luck. But in recent years, they were able to explain this strange phenomenon. Imaging from underneath the glacier helped solve the mystery, revealing a complex network of subglacial rivers and a subglacial lake, all filled with brine high in iron, giving the falls its reddish tint. The research team calculates that the brine water takes approximately 1.5 million years to finally reach the Blood Falls as it makes its way through fissures and channels in the glacier. Perhaps most amazingly, this unique ecosystem is home to a community of microbes that have been present for more than 2 million years, proving that life can exist in the most extreme locations. Though most of the continent is coated in snow, there are parts of Antarctica that have been dubbed the driest place on Earth. An area called the Dry Valleys has seen no rain for nearly 2 million years. There is absolutely no precipitation in this region, and it makes up a 4,800 square kilometer region of almost no water, ice, or snow. Though there are technically some small water features, they have not had any net gain or loss of water in over 2 million years. The similarity between terrain and nature with Mars's surface has allowed NASA to conduct experiments. It became the perfect place to test the high slope ability of Viking spacecraft. But that pales in comparison to the Friss Hills, which have not seen water in 14 million years. A crate of Scotch whiskey that was trapped in Antarctic ice for a century was finally opened in 2010. But the heritage dram wasn't tasted by whiskey lovers because it's being preserved for its historic significance. The crate, recovered from the Antarctic hut of renowned explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton after it was found there in 2006, has been thawed very slowly at the Canterbury Museum in Christchurch, on New Zealand's South Island. But not even the then New Zealand Prime Minister John Key, who personally returned the stash, got a taste of the contents of the bottles of McKinley's whiskey, which were rediscovered 102 years after the explorer was forced to leave them behind. "I think we're all tempted to crack it open and have a little drink ourselves now," Key joked at a ceremony, handing over the bottles to Antarctic Heritage Trust officials at New Zealand's Antarctic base on Ross Island. The whiskey will be transferred by March from Ross Island to Shackleton's desolate hut at Cape Royds and replaced beneath the restored hut as part of a program to protect the legacy of the so-called heroic era of Antarctic exploration from 1898 to 1915. American scientists believe that Antarctica's largest and deepest underground lake could contain thousands of different tiny organisms and even fish. Scientists say that the icy darkness of Lake Vostok, which has been cut off from the outside world for 15 million years under 3,700 meters of ice, provides a glimpse of the planet before the Ice Age. Research from Bowling Green State University, Ohio, suggests that the lake harbors plenty of life, from bacteria to complex organisms. Not only had most scientists believed Lake Vostok completely inhospitable to life, some thought it might even be sterile. However, after 2 years of computer analysis of DNA sequences from ice samples, the final results showed that Lake Vostok contains a diverse set of microbes, as well as some multicellular organisms. The HMS Terror, an exploration ship helmed by famous British polar explorer Sir John Franklin, was recently found frozen into the ice shelf in Antarctica. The ship was abandoned in 1848 after a doomed mission failed to complete the Northwest Passage. Because 10 members of the crew were left on the boat, the British government sent rescue missions for 10 years following the fateful expedition. But they never found a single clue until 2017. Researchers believe that the boat naturally drifted as the polar ice shifted across the massive frozen continent.